Shwmae Ffrindiau! I'm back with Planet Zoo. I really wanted to start some festive theme builds, but this time, instead of doing a Northern Hemisphere style festive build like I did the past couple of years, I've done lovely snowy things. I thought to fit in with the Oceania Pack, I would do a nice build suited for the Southern Hemisphere. So I had a little look, and there's a few things that people in places like New Zealand and Australia do around the festive season. Completely different to what I would do in Wales. Like, go on a picnic and go to the beach and have a barbecue. It was like, I'm freezing right now. So I'm not dressed up like it's the Southern Hemisphere, but I'm gonna do some more sunny, warm climate themed festive builds, starting with the Kiwis. And the Kiwis like living in forests and with ferns. So this is going to be like a fern forest with a nice cave because they are nocturnal, and this forest is set up for a picnic, and the picnic is going to be like a nice fruit basket picnic with tropical fruits. It's going to be like a picnic to exchange gifts and a few more festive themed things dotted around the forest, but it's going to be quite a natural themed habitat, a little bit out of my comfort zone. I like to use null barriers when I do habitats and use the path railings as the habitat barriers. The Kiwis cannot get past these other than the gap between the habitat gate and the path barrier, so I'm just making my own little fence to block off that area. So I wanted to recreate a little object that was just small enough to fit in that gap, so I used the little driftwood pieces, and the netting's very similar to the netting that's in the path railings. It's just slightly too big, so it's just merged into the ground a little bit, but I've thought that fit in really nicely with the path railings. And this zoo is actually the showcase zoo. So if you watch my Oceania Pack showcase, this is the same zoo, because I really enjoyed like the island that I created, and I've already found colour variations. My favourite thing to do in Planet Zoo is to find the shinies, like the special colour variations. For the Kiwis, I have a piebald leucistic Kiwi. I wanted to make sure there was a nice little dark nocturnal area for the Kiwis as well. I didn't switch my baton today. That's better. For the cave, I did do a viewing dome, and I recolored the viewing dome in kiwi fruit colours because I thought it was amusing, especially because it's in the cave. It doesn't really matter what colours there are, and like green is a festive colour anyway, and I thought because it was domed as well, kind of fruit shaped, it's a kiwi dome. North Island Brown Kiwis have the largest egg size relative to its body weight compared to all other birds. So I did want to include a little nest and some eggs, and I put that right next to the viewing dome so the guests can see it. But that nest I actually made for the red-crowned cranes. I actually had that set up already because I'd put that for the showcase. So if you're just wondering like where that build came from, like, that nest appeared out of nowhere, I already had it. And I'm just adding a few extra little details in the cave so the guests have some more interesting things to look at. So I added some rocks for a little bit of wall texture. I also added some roots coming from the top of the cave because there's a lot of plants above this area. So I was sort of imagining like the plants sort of growing through that cave. I say sort of a lot when I'm explaining things. I don't do it when I'm like naturally playing a game, but I notice it when I'm doing like speed builds. But I'm really enjoying doing like a variety of different games, but obviously still coming back to Planet Zoo. It was so nice coming back to Planet Zoo, actually. Getting back into building and just knowing all the buttons straight away, like, oh, this is so much easier, because I've been playing this game for 4 years. Like, I know all the shortcuts. That's why I've been doing the shorts and the TikToks, things like that. Well, pretty much all of this is all of my rocks tricks from my TikTok shorts tutorials. It's like making them random, blending them in with the terrain, and then adding extra plants around to make it look and feel more natural and more alive than just like a rocky wall. So I am sticking to like ferns, and I searched for the word fern to make it easier for me, but I am adding in a few more different plants that are suitable for the animal. This is what I like to do with plants anyway. To make it feel more varied when you're using the same plant over and over again, is one, lower it into the ground a bit so you have different heights. Love that. Like trees as bushes, make them different heights. And I like to do a trio of 3 different plants per little cluster, making them different heights, different sizes. So you have like a larger one, a medium one, and a small one in a little trio. But I like to stick to like odd numbers. I think 4 looks too clunky, so it would either be 3 or 5. A variation of different plants or different heights of plants, the different sizes of those ferns. So I had 3 different larger ferns. I mixed it up with the different sizes around the habitat, but then I added other sized ferns around the larger fern to make it feel a little bit more natural. But I did want to leave gaps around the habitat so the kiwi could actually be seen by the guests. If we just completely cover this in ferns, the guests are only going to be able to see them in the viewing dome in the cave. Maybe this is like at the edge of the tropical forest, you know, so this family or group of friends who are going to go on the picnic can actually get into the tropical forest. And speaking of picnic, I wanted the picnic area to be on the forage box. Is this the forage box? The forage enrichment item. Because I wanted the kiwis to go and look like they were eating at the picnic, as well as imagining humans, guests coming and exchanging gifts for the picnic as well. So I've got a big picnic blanket. I searched for I think these are from the Africa style. I'm not quite sure what the object is called, but it's from the organic tab. I think it's the organic tab. And I started with a red and white theme. Wasn't really sure about that. I'm going to change it to white and blue instead. And a little hammock tied to the trees behind. And I'm actually making my own picnic basket out of the rope coils from the Oceania Pack. I'm using a flower basket as like a template to start with, like how big is this going to be, and then playing around with the basket shape. I didn't want it to be too square, didn't like that. Should I have decorated for Christmas? No. I don't decorate until the 13th of December. I'm really looking forward to seeing what my kitten is going to be like with Christmas decorations and things, because she already attacks my fairy lights. So it'd be interesting to see what she's going to be like with like a Christmas tree. I've also got her an advent calendar, you know, like a cat one. And then to make the curve underneath, I'm using the circle trick and using the smaller rope piece that I used for like the little cross on the fence for the habitat gate, and angling it so it does curve inwards like a basket. And the picnic basket's going to be filled with tropical fruits. I did have to search for tropical fruits. It's like, what else? It's like definitely like watermelon would be a great one. It's so refreshing. Pineapple, obviously. Bananas, yes. Some of these fruits from the India style, I think these are from. But then I needed to make up my own. Because there was no more fruit left to fill in my basket. So I'm using the decorative eggs. Using my imagination, these red ones could be apples, they could be cherries. Well, they might be a bit big for cherries actually, but that's the smallest one. They could be strawberries, I don't know. And I thought dragon fruit would be a really nice one to add into the basket for an extra colour, because it's this really bright, vibrant pink, which I just loved. Oh, and this is when I change my colour scheme as well. I go for like a white and blue. It's my favourite colour scheme for festive things. I'm not really a fan of the red and green, which you might know if you have watched the other festive builds that I created from my North American zoo. I did use a lot of white and blue there too. It's just my favourite colour scheme. I don't like the traditional one. It feels a little bit more modern. I don't know. I was looking at these outdoor Christmas decorations in New Zealand, and I think these ones that I saw are from Auckland, and they are light up kiwis, like the decorations you would get in the UK and in North America, like reindeer. They would light up kiwis. And I thought that was just a brilliant idea. So I'm using the reward statues. If you don't have the kiwi reward statues in your construction tab, or you just have the stone one, it should just be stone if you've not played the scenario. You need to play the Oceania Korea scenario. I do have a full playthrough of the Korea scenario, how I got all 3 reward statues, and I do have short tips on how to complete that if you do want these fun shiny kiwi statues. And I'm lighting them up by using the individual light bulbs from the New World style. They're another base game object. They're the smallest lights we have, I think, in game, and I still needed to really merge them into the statue to make them slightly smaller. And I matched the colour of the light to the statue, so it would like blend in a little bit more in the daytime, and it makes it a little bit more fun for lighting at night too, because the kiwis are nocturnal. It might be a little bit nicer to have this habitat at night rather than in the day. You'll see both in the Pretties. And if you're finding your lights are too bright or too dim, the lighting in this game is interesting. If you want a really bright light, pick a really light colour. So white is going to be the brightest light you're going to find. But if you want a slightly dimmer light, say you're doing like a festive build and you've got lots of lovely festive lights everywhere, but your whole habitat is like reflecting light, and you've got like that reflection on screen, and it's just kind of seeming a little blinding. To dim the light a little bit, just darken the colour. So if you still want a white light, but you don't want it as bright as that pure white colour, make it grey. It still stays white, but it's just a dimmer colour. I also find the lighting is useful for themed builds as well. So if you want to make a spooky build around Halloween, make the light colour darker than what you would think to make it. But if you do want to make a really bright area, say somewhere indoors, make the light really white and it will brighten up the space. But I didn't forget about the larger kiwi statue. If you just have this one in game, you can still light it up and have a little bit of fun with it. I matched the colour of the statue, so I went for the like icy blue colour, and I followed the pattern of the kiwi. So there was 2 stripes along the pattern of the statue, so I followed those stripes and added like a string of lights around the statue. That's what I sort of imagined with this, is like someone had laid the lights around the statue. By this point, I'd made some festive lights. I'd made my own picnic basket. I've gone on my comfort zone and done quite a natural habitat. I didn't feel up to making my own gifts, especially when there is an object that is just gifts. I am using the Arctic pack just for the gifts to make it a little bit more festive. All of the lights, like the string lights and things, are base game. I did discover that the picnic blanket is blocking the kiwis' access to the enrichment item, so I had to move the picnic blanket a little bit just to make sure that the kiwis could actually access the enrichment item, because as I said, I want it to look like the kiwis are enjoying the picnic as well. You know, that's such a fun experience. The kiwis do allow guests into the habitat. It's technically not a walkthrough, but can you imagine like the guests coming in, having a little fruit picnic, and these like kiwis come along and start picking at whatever's around the enrichment item. Like you're sat there, oh, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, here's your gift. In my case, happy birthday, Caitlin. And then a little kiwi comes along, packing along your picnic blanket. Oh, I just love it. The only sort of experience I would get in Wales with that is a seagull eating your chips. and adding the kiwis around the habitat now. So these are kind of a little bit fun. I was thinking for like a guest experience, maybe the guests walking around could spot and count how many kiwi statues are around the habitat, and like trying to figure out which ones are actually statues and which ones are kiwis. In the daytime, you'll spot them straight away. At night they do light up quite nicely, but in the daytime it might be like a fun game. I hid the larger ones underneath the ferns, how I imagine the kiwis would walk around. My leucistic piebald kiwi does hide under the ferns quite a bit when I was trying to look for them, and put the smaller ones around some of the more open gaps because they are smaller, and I wanted to light up the more open spaces too. I also found like gold and silver and maybe a little bit of bronze is like a festive colours as well. If you think about like colour schemes for festive trees, like Christmas trees, you have like blue and silver, red and gold. It is a lot of fun for me to do a more summery, warm climate theme for a festive build instead of just automatically chucking some snow down and some lights and hey, it's festive. But I do have builds like that if you do want to see them. I've got a playlist for mini builds for festive ones, and I've also got a playlist for my North American season zoo, and there's an entire section just for winter where there's lots of snowy, cozy themed builds like Christmas markets and a winter walk through like a light show. I do still want to play a variety of different games with the PC Game Pass, so if you haven't seen my wish list, I'll link that too, or I'll show you. I don't know, I'll chuck it here somewhere maybe. So let me know what other games you'd like to see me play for like my variety gaming, or you know, just go back to Stardew Valley because I'm kind of obsessed. Oh dear, definitely shouldn't have started that because I'd like to play Disney Dreamlight Valley as well, because I know Jack Skellington is coming to the valley and I'm obviously obsessed, so I think that might be nice for like a more festive themed video as well. But I think I might have to play a little bit off camera before I start that. Maybe House Flipper. I love decorating. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, and if you haven't already and you would like to, it would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I upload on Wednesdays and Sundays. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!